I want to introduce to you Jack, but before we do, we have Frank here. He'll introduce me, and
All right.
we can continue.
We're good. So I'm going to leave, and I'll be behind the scenes, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Zeph.
All right. Thanks so much, Zeph. You guys are rocking it back there. You and Jonathan. Appreciate all you're doing. So I'm Frank Clark, co-producer of Startup Con Live, and here to introduce Leo Nofsky and his next guest here, Jack Fecker. I'm very excited to hear what Jack is going to say, and I'm going to just turn it over to Leo, and you're doing an amazing job all day here with Startup Con Live, and can't wait to see this next interview. All right, thanks.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let me, if you're just joining us, I am a speech coach and a business development catalyst. And I met Jack, I would say about 8 years ago, when he was speaking at an event here in Seattle, at a Chamber of Commerce event on how to become a successful and creative entrepreneur. And I was blown away. Here was this, at that point, 70-something-year-old man that had more energy and more sprite than I did, and who started successful entrepreneurial businesses before I was even born, before my parents were probably out of diapers. And so since then, we've struck up a friendship and a mentorship. And if there's one thing that I want you immediately kind of to get out of this, there's one thing that I want you to get out of this particular workshop, is the fact that finding mentors is absolutely critical in any entrepreneurship endeavor, in life in general, but in entrepreneurship endeavor. And so since then, we've continued to connect through Toastmasters. We've started a mastermind group called Vision Circle, something that Jack has pioneered before. And we've even played golf once in a while. He beats me as is appropriate. So I want to spend this hour really diving into this question of what makes a successful entrepreneur, from someone who's been there, has been there longer than I will bet anyone on this call. And so, Jack, what was the first business that you have started?
I was 5 years old.
And so tell us about that.
My dad had a place where they raised corn, and also he had a lot of chickens. And so I sold corn and eggs door to door, 10 cents a dozen.
What year was this?
What year? About 1937, 38. I did it for 2-3 years.
1937, ladies and gentlemen, 1937.
And I had my first employee at that time.
Oh, yeah?
His name was Joe Rutten. He lived 2 blocks away, and I had him help me. Later on, we entered into business for 20 years. He came from LA and I was in Seattle. And so we got together and opened up a nightclub in Seattle.
Called?
The Blue Banjo.
The Blue Banjo. Well,
and we had both worked at Boeing and both hated working for somebody else. So
incredible. And so if we fast forward from 1937, almost 80 years to 2016. Tell me about your current business. So it was 20 businesses later.
I started a business in 91 when my best friend asked me, he said, what would you do if money was no issue? What would you do if you didn't get paid? I said, that's easy. I'd paint houses. I've been doing that since I was 12 years old. And I would do that if I didn't get paid. So I went over, he had me paint his kitchen cabinets. Then I painted a neighbor's house. One week I made $1,500. It's about 1991. And I said, this is free money. So that started me on a new career of painting. And now
where were you at 1991 that you jumped on on such a detour?
Well, we had gone bankrupt in a particular restaurant. It was in downtown Seattle. And so I thought, I've been doing this for 36 years. It's time to do something else.
Doing what?
I was in the restaurant business for 36 years.
Yeah. So how many successful restaurants did you open?
I built at least 17 restaurants.
All right. So I want you guys to listen. My job here is to really communicate and to take the nuggets, find the nuggets, and to regurgitate them back so we can tweet them out. Right? Isn't that why I'm here? But really, the point is that you, even though you've built 17 successful business restaurants.
Yeah, some of them were chains.
Chains,
five in one group and 4 or 5 in another.
Mm-hmm. You fell on a hard time. You actually had to declare bankruptcy.
Yeah, this is one of our greatest teachers. Is when we have a tough time.
So tell me about that.
Well, first hard time was when I got divorced after 17 years, and then the next hardest time was when we lost our business in 1991.
So what happened? What happened there?
Well, it was the best thing that ever happened, because you learn from mistakes. You learn from. I've talked to many people that I know, especially in the restaurant business, that have gone bankrupt, and they stuck with it and they became successful. So it's real important to stick with what you love to do.
Yeah. So just notice what just to repeat what Jack said is that he had the hard times. He had to declare bankruptcy, and it was the best thing that ever happened to him because it was the best lesson that he had. And I know that you call yourself a recovering workaholic. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wrote a book about it. You can probably get it at Amazon.
Yep. What is it called?
It's called Freedom from Work.
Freedom from Work by Jack Facker. Jonathan, can you pull that up into the feed? Uh-huh.
So what happened was when I was going through a really tough time, I started journaling every day because my wife said it might help if you journal. Because I was thinking about, God, there it is. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about getting a second job and working more. And I came up with the idea, how about working less and making more? And,
wow, what a concept.
So I started journaling, and for a whole year, I wrote every morning. I would give myself a problem like I did in college in my physics class. I'd give myself a problem. Then I would go to sleep. I'd wake up in the morning, go to the desk, and write out the answer. So it works very well. I think.
So here's something to take home. This idea of coming up with a question before you go to sleep, wake up, and journal about the answer when I wake up.
Yeah, your computer will solve it, which is your brain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So that's one of the things I've learned from Jack more than anything. And I wish I could say that I practice it religiously, but I don't. I forget. That's why I need him around. Is that intention. The power of intention is much more powerful than anything else. And when my intention shifts, even without me knowing often, the results shift as well. So you hit a hard time. And
I started journaling.
You started journaling,
and I would say, why do people in this country work all the time and very seldom take vacations? In other countries, people take a month off or 6 weeks, and very seldom do people take even 2 weeks here. So I had questions like that, and then I would answer them, and then another question. Pretty soon, I had like 100 pages that I'd written, and I was in a men's group at the time, and I would read parts of it to them. They said, that'd be a good book. So I took about 60 of those and turned it into a book. That's called Freedom from Work.
And one of the things that I've learned from you, and I want to talk about, is this concept of, so what makes a successful entrepreneur? Because I know hard work makes a successful entrepreneur. I mean, that's one of the things. You got to work really hard. But is that true?
Yes and no.
So talk about that from your wisdom, where you're at now.
Number one, you need focus, which is, you talked about intention. You need that focus. Number two, it's not so much hard work as it is to set up some tension between what you want and where you are. And most people don't have a good sense of where they are.
Most people don't have sense of where they are. Tweet that.
You have to have that in order to set up a goal to shoot for.
It's scary to know where you are. I don't want to know where I'm at. It
know.
sucks. It's a bad place, or it's a scary place, right?
I found out I didn't reach my goals very easily when I didn't set up that
tension,
that goal of where I am. What you do with attention is like a rubber band. The bigger the goal, the more tension. And a long range, well-defined, impossible goal is what I like. So I have the goal and I have the current reality, which is there. So you're stretching this out. The more you stretch, the more it tends to resolve itself.
The more you stretch, the more tension you bring, authentic, knowing where I am and where I'm going, the more it resolves itself. Tell me more.
So here's a way that a lot of people fail, because it gets hard. The more you stretch that thing out, the harder it gets. So they then lower their expectations. They lower their vision. And as you lower the vision, you reduce the tension. So by lowering the vision.
By lowering the vision.
Yeah.
What's easier to raise, $10,000 or $100,000?
Probably easier to raise 100,000. Yeah.
That's right.
When you have a good idea.
That's right.
You want to. Let's look at Jeff Bezos, who set up that goal, that tension.
That small bookstore thing online.
What?
Well,
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, the small bookstore online.
Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, he set up that tension.
Yeah,
and he stuck with it.
Right.
And didn't change his vision.
He didn't change his vision, but he changed the how and the what.
Yeah.
He pivoted, and he still does.
Most people get hung up in the how they're going to do it, the why, and I always tell them, keep your mind and keep focused on where you want to be, and don't get so hung up on how you're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We did that with our house.
Oh, yeah. So I've promised people. I've promised people, because I told them that Jack has a straw bale house, and of course I got the inevitable, I hope the wolf doesn't come. And I'm like, we're in Seattle, and when the earthquake hits, the house that I want to be in is his straw bale house. So tell us about the straw bale house, because it's a great analogy for what makes a successful entrepreneur and a successful company. Go for it.
Yeah. So number one, it doesn't take, forget about the money. Some people get hung up. They got to have the money. So when we went bankrupt, we lost our house. And so we only had $25,000. So we found a piece of property.
So it's you and your wife and 2 kids.
Yeah. And we built a what I call a treasure map. It could be a vision board. This is what we want to create. This is what the house is going to look like. And we want to have a house facing east. We want to have 5 to 10 acres. And we only had 25,000 at the time. And we were living with friends. So we were basically homeless. So we wanted to face east. We wanted to see the mountains and want to have a water view. So we now see the Snoqualmie River. We're on 4 acres, and we see the mountains, and we're facing east, and we live in a 4,400 square foot straw bale home. All that happened is because we stuck with our vision and our goal.
Sticking with the vision and the goal, and being clear on where you are now or where you want to go, and then letting things happen, creating that tension, letting the tension create the movement.
Yeah.
This is incredibly powerful, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the minutia and the overwhelming piece.
It helps to have a wife that agrees with you on your goal. So it's been very helpful having my wife.
But how did you build that house? Because you didn't build it yourself, did you?
We did. We did at least 50% or more of the work ourselves.
How did you do that?
Well, we went to a workshop, learned how to build a straw bale house. And It's not easy, but you can do it. Most of the people that had built these down south, like in Arizona, were women.
So, but how did you get the manpower for it?
Put an ad in the paper.
And what did people do?
I had lots of people show up. We had.
And how much did they pay you?
Well, the first time they paid.
Did you guys catch that?
$60 or $70 a person to come for a weekend.
Wait, did you guys catch that? So, of course, I know the story, so it's not fair. But how much did they pay him to come to his house to build it? Because he offered an amazing opportunity.
They wanted to learn how.
They wanted to learn how to build a straw bale house. When you're building your company, how is it that you can create such enticement, such opportunity that people will be paying you to come work for you, or paying you to be your advocate, or paying you to promote you, creating clients who are willing to go extra mile to find new clients for you? It's a different paradigm. And so you did that.
Yeah, let's go back a step.
Yeah.
Let's go to step 1, which is in my book.
Which book?
Chapter is called Idea. Well, the book is called Becoming a Creative Entrepreneur.
Right. So this is the second book, and this is the one that I highly recommend. This is one of my Bibles, Becoming a Creative Entrepreneur. It's a self-published book, but it's I say the rules, the goals, the lessons are just brilliant. So Becoming a Creative Entrepreneur, it is on Amazon and it is on Kindle. So check that out and put that in the gift basket for all your entrepreneurs in your life. You won't be disappointed. So go ahead. What's the first step?
First chapter is called Idea. So what you're doing when you're traveling or you're walking around, you see something. It could be on the internet. You see something that you really like. I'd like to do that. So the next step is I have an idea there. So then I need to do a little research to see if anybody else is doing it. Also, the important thing is you're finding a need and filling it.
And we've talked about that through this.
There.
We've talked a lot about that.
So when I did the nightclub, I had gone to other cities in the country and I saw what other people had done. And then I came to Seattle. I said, there's a need here for this kind of a nightclub. So within a year, we were the most popular nightclub in Seattle because I did the research and I knew it was going to work.
So you have the idea, you did the research. What's the next step?
Then the next step is what we talked about. You set up a picture. I try to get, when we do this almost every year, we build a picture with, you can call it a
treasure map,
vision
board. So vision boarding is a great thing to look at, or treasure map, vision board. He is the one who first introduced me to the whole concept. I have a vision board in my house, and it is a powerful tool. Continue.
Yeah, I started doing this about 1972, and have been doing that ever since. I even taught that to large groups. And I was even on television in the afternoon show on King TV, showing people how to make their own.
Yeah, no, it is an amazing tool that it really helps focus the mind. What's the next step?
But on the vision board, I put like a spiritual symbol in the middle. I take play money and put it on there, so it's got money, and I put fastest way possible. So you want to get to this goal, and then you put pictures in both corners, and that you build it any way you want. But what it is, it sets up something you walk by every day, because advertisement must work, because these billboards cost a lot of money. And so I have the concept is, why not advertise to yourself?
Advertise your own vision to yourself. Yeah. Tweet that. Advertise your own vision, your own goals to yourself with the vision board. Says Jack Fecker.
And you put it up in a hallway or somewhere where you walk by every day, because that's how billboards are set up. You drive down the highway, you see the billboard. You walk through a room, you see your vision board. You don't necessarily have to look at it. It's just there. Very important.
What's the next step?
Next step. what I do now, I do a storyboard.
And what's a storyboard?
Well, it's huge, and I put it on the wall, and I start putting the pieces together. I need a place to do my business, or I need equipment, and I do 3x5 cards, and every part goes on this wall, and then I start moving them around. Disney came up with this a long time ago, and they did storyboards for all their movies.
So you created a storyboard for your business?
Yeah. I created a storyboard now. I've been doing this since 1976.
Yeah, and guys, I want you to stop and think about this whole process, because this is an amazing. I hope you are appreciating this discussion as much as I am enjoying bringing it to you, because we often talk about the nitty-gritty pieces of what makes an entrepreneur. But if you look at the core parts of it, it's the spiritual. It's spiritual. It is a spiritual focus, alignment, and goals, and not focus. It's not how and what are important, but that's all we see from outside about successful people, but that's not what drives them. So emulating the how and the what only creates confusion. The core, what's under the iceberg, what's under the water, is what Jack is talking about, this concept of cohesiveness of vision and seeing the vision so clearly. It's really, all of this to me is building the why. And that's one of the things you've taught me.
You got to be able to articulate your vision, because the next step can be, not always, but in most successful entrepreneurs that I know, they build a vision so they get somebody to bounce ideas off of. And I recommend a partner, because if you read the ebook Revisited
is the new one
by Gerber.
Jonathan, want to put that up? That's another great one of my top 10.
Yeah, you can't be a technician, a manager, and an entrepreneur for very long.
That's right.
When you start to grow, you got to pick one.
That's right. And when you do, find your team.
My partner in the early days was a CPA. I hate doing book work. I hate doing leases. I dislike working with the bank. All the things that I didn't like to do, he was talented in those areas, and he liked doing them.
So let's answer a question here. We have a question. What was the changing point of? Let me. I have a smaller screen here. Was the changing point of the divorce and the new wife a pivot point? Is that too personal? I am feeling layers of success and heartbreak. So Renee is kind of asking a personal question about that point. Talk about that point of that freedom.
Well, the divorce had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, divorce the freedom part, you were freed from that relationship in that way.
Yeah, but I was using a lot of energy on that, because I always like to make people happy. So now
that never happens to all of us.
I'm in a different relationship now, but I guess I had a little more energy, but it didn't seem to affect my business skills.
Mm-hmm. No, the approach that I see you do is the stepwise vision first. So Start with Why is another great book by Simon Sinek. And I think for me, Jack's story is a perfect example of that on a personal level. But even more than that, I feel that I say that the Start with Why is incomplete because it goes in and talks about. Have you read that book, Simon Sinek?
No,
Start with Why. It's a great book, but it talks about how most successful people and successful companies don't focus on, don't ask the same questions, but in different order. They don't ask what to do and how to do it. Rather, they focus on why doing something is important. Why are they doing this in the first place? And then the how, and then the what. And then the what becomes an expression of the why. All of that is brilliant, but it's missing a crucial point. And it's another question, and the question of who. So I have a concept that I've developed called a startup flywheel. And it's kind of combines this concept of good to great and start with why. And that is that the first question is the why, and then the next question is the who. So if you have strong enough why, you can bring the right who on board. The how and the what will take care of themselves in where and when.
Yeah. Let's talk about that who a little.
Let's talk about the who.
They're bringing. There is a
The
good
bad
reason-
who and the good who and the bad who. Let's
I know,
talk about the
there's-
bad and the good.
There's a good reason for having a partner because, and let's go back when I interview people or talk to people and consult them. The first question I ask to find out if they are an entrepreneur: what did your parents do? What did your grandfather do? What did your uncle do? How were you raised? And if they say, well, my parents were school teachers.
All the, by the way, it's all the questions that HR cannot ask in an interview. Just happens, but yes, yeah, that's the good thing.
We're finding a partner.
Absolutely.
So let's say all your parents worked for the government or school teachers, and you want to be an entrepreneur. What you do, you go out and find a partner that has entrepreneurial background. And that you'd probably find in the book called Honest Business by Michael Phillips.
Honest Business by Michael Phillips.
Yeah. And in there, you'll find out if you have trade skills. You have many trade skills if your both parents were entrepreneurs. So I was lucky. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. So it was a natural thing for me. You almost can't fail. So if I was a banker,
Except you even when you fail, you succeed. You fail
yeah.
plenty.
Yeah. But if I was a banker, I would find out if they had parents that were entrepreneurs. I'd give them the money. If they didn't, and they didn't have a partner, I probably wouldn't give them the money.
How many of you have asked that to your potential partners? I can even say that to now about marriage too. You should ask about the relationship, but let's not divert.
So you have an entrepreneur, and so my partner was always a good manager. I was always a good entrepreneur. I tried to be a manager once. I even took a test and I failed it. That was a real downer. So as far as running something, I have a general manager right now.
What's his name?
He doesn't want to be an owner. His name is Andrei Stepanchuk. He's from the Ukraine. He's only 27 years old, but he's really sharp. So he's a good guy to have, and he's buying into the business this year. And this business will go on and on and on because we're doing over $1.3 million now in the painting business. That's huge.
What's your company's name?
Jack's Evergreen Painting.
JacksEvergreenPainting.com.
Yes.
Jack's JACKS.
Yeah.
Evergreenpainting.com.
Yeah.
Right. And so just before you, he's also number one on Angie's list. Just happens to be in this area of Seattle. So unfortunately,
we're in the top area.
Yeah. So you have to, if you want him, if you're in Florida or Denmark or Israel, I mean, I'm sure that there is a price that you could fly him and his team. But he's amazing at what it is.
I'm also the only name on Google that I know. If you just type in Jack Fecker, my name, you'll get like 6 pages of stuff. I don't know how that happened, but
it's caused by having so many years of stuff happening. Jack, I understand you prefer the sticky notes, but the world is changing. Look at this. We have people from around the world watching you right now. So so let's talk about the next step. So if you find the partner, and partner, by the way, is critical. Hewlett Packard, Microsoft, Costco, Apple.
Warren Buffett even has a guy.
Warren Buffett has a guy. There are always these partners, and so doing it alone is a complete myth. It's actually not true. And people invest in teams more than they invest in ideas very often. The smart investors. So after you find your partner, what's next?
I read a book called Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich by what's his name? Napoleon Hill.
Yeah. So
Think and Grow Rich.
When I speak in front of a couple hundred people, I will ask them, how many have goals? They all raise their hand.
How many of them have written them down?
How many have written them down? Oh, maybe 10%. How many of you
Review your goals every
turn
year.
your goals into a picture? Hardly anybody.
Yep.
Okay, so the next step.
Hold on, before you do, guys, get this right now. Write it down right now. So stop right now, whatever you're doing, and write it down. Have goals. Make goals. Number one. Number two, write them down. Number three, make a picture out of them. Okay, just those three things. Can you do that?
Yeah, and to remove the tension, I make it okay not to reach it.
And to remove the tension, you make it okay not to reach it. So you create a BHAG, which is big, hairy, audacious goal, from good to great. And then you give yourself permission not to reach it, but you strive for it anyways.
We still have a focus.
You focus.
So every year my wife and I write down 10 goals. We print it out. And we maybe reach 2 or 3 at the end of the year, but at least we did that. Because before it was like, well, I can't write the goal down because I might not reach it. And then you beat yourself up. So you want to not beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Make it, it's very creative.
But you can, we're juggling. Yeah. So becoming the creative entrepreneur. Do you see? So that's the creative part. Mm-hmm.
So now, after reading that book, I said it's important to write goals down. We each, on a 3x5 card, wrote at least 6 to 10 goals that we were in alignment with. This is really important, that you and your partner are on the same goals. So one of the goals was to build like 5 restaurants. Another one was to have 300 or 400 employees. Another one was to cover a certain area. So we wrote those goals down. We give ourselves 10 years to reach it. That was a mistake.
Don't give yourself any timeline.
Cut the time off, because we actually reached our goal in 6 years. And that taught me that it's important that both of you have the same goals, and you can pull them out of your billfold, purse, or whatever, and look at it once in a while, and then to see that you're on the same page.
So I just learned something and realized something. One is I don't have that partner in my business right now. And number 2 is in my marriage, I should probably do the same. I don't know how many of you can agree with that. Clap for that if you want. But that is a powerful, powerful thing. So imagine if if your spouse and you, or your significant other, or your business partner and you had a card each with the same goals on them.
My wife and I do another page besides that goal, things that we want to do as far as vacations and other things. And so we are in total alignment with that. The other one is more business kind of thing.
So my promise to all of you here is that I pulled this guy into the 21st century, and as he's teaching me about early 20th, is for us to create a program, of Jack's ever-present wisdom on Blab, and get a little bit more of this, because I know that this is not going to be enough. You see it as well. So okay. So you create these goals. Let's move on. Let's really focus on what made you a successful entrepreneur. What were the secret? You have these plans, right? And how to make it, how to bring it into fruition.
One thing helps is you burn your bridges behind. I was not going to go back to Boeing and work, so I had to succeed.
So my favorite Jack story of all time is the Breadline story, the Breadline restaurant. And I'm a storyteller, so this is, you can see my smirk. So tell me about Breadline then.
Well, I had left the ice cream parlor restaurant, which was called Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor Restaurants. They were all over the country, but we had the territorial franchise for the area. And when I left Farrell's, because the Marriott Corporation bought out the whole thing, I thought, I'm going to build another restaurant, and I'm going to build one that would maybe sell and go nationwide. And I was speaking at in Toronto at the Canadian Restaurant Association. That's what it was. And I went to a place called Ed's Warehouse, and they only served one item. I thought, that's very unique. They only served like roast beef 3 different ways. And you paid.
What year? What year is this?
Gosh, you got to go back to 72 or something.
Yeah, 1972.
So I set up a challenge. I wrote on a piece of paper to build a restaurant that serves only like one item. We ended up with a couple more, but one item that would be a surprise to everybody that walked in. At least 9 out of 10 people would be surprised. And it would do $1 million a year and that kind of thing. So I put that on a little card, and I started brainstorming sessions. Now, this is one of the most important parts. Take the time to brainstorm what you're going to do, and we took 6 months.
Who are we?
I met with the guy who was going to be chef. I met with a guy that was going to be like a potential investor, and then another guy who had an ad agency.
So wait, so what you did is you found, before you did brainstorming, you found your team.
I found a group. Not
a group.
Stayed
not a, but you had a group.
At least it's best to have 3 or more when you're doing
find the right people and then brainstorm. So go ahead, tell me about the brainstorm.
We met every week and we brainstormed on one idea, like what's going to be the name of the business. And I remember the week we came together after meeting for a few months, and I said, Breadline. It'll be called the Breadline. It's like the 1930s, and we would serve soup and bread. We eventually ended up baking 2,000 loaves of bread a day. They were half loaves, but that was a lot of bread. That went on every table. And we had 6 kinds of soup, but it was soup and bread for lunch. At dinner, we served beef stew or chicken stew. I still have the concept because I got it back. The guy failed it, bought it, and took it.
I wish. Yeah. This is a story for. It's a show. This story needs its own documentary. But continue.
Well, anyway, after the 6 months of brainstorming, the idea was so good that I had a set designer design it. I met a guy from New York who does sets for operas and shows. And I hired him to make pictures, like 5 pictures of what this place would look like, because it had never been done before. And that's what I took to the bank.
So you went to the bank in 1972 at the height of the inflation, and you took a bunch of pictures to the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, I want $100,000.
Which is at that time.
So
hold on one second before you do. Just everybody, just digest that for just a second. All right, continue.
So pictures are really worth 1,000 words.
$10,000, $100,000.
Yeah, because you could talk for hours and they wouldn't get it. But when you show them pictures of what the place looks like, I found a banker that got really excited, and we got the money. And I proved that the pictures make it work.
Yeah, the pictures are worth $100,000 in 1972. There you go. Yeah. And so how did you promote? So what happened then?
We paid $500 to the designer for the pictures.
Yeah.
So then I wanted people to know about the restaurant before we opened. So I found a friend that would call all the charitable organizations. She called at least 200 in the Seattle area. And of those, maybe 40 or 50 took up the challenge. And they were charitable organizations trying to raise money. So I printed up a certificate good for 4 dinners, good for a year after we opened. And they were to sell those for $12 for each certificate. So because dinner was $3.25.
So the dinner was $3.25, ladies and gentlemen. A full dinner, $3.25.
So we gave them a break. We cut it to $3. We had the certificates made up, and they sold 26. Let me see how much it was.
26,000 dinners.
We raised $70,000 $76,000. I was going for 100,000.
$76,000 they have raised.
You know what that was in 1973? That was a lot of money.
That was a lot of money. Can you guys see that what Jack did was precursor to Kickstarter? Yeah, are you with me? Yeah, because that's it, right? You pre-sell what I talked about Sancerre with Leo Lamb, or we talk about other using other utilizations. They pre-sold 26,000 dinners. Right, by doing what Armand was talking with Frank about, creating scarcity and building interest before things opened.
Yeah, this was such a unique idea that the Seattle Times sent a reporter down before we opened, when we were just training our help, and started taking pictures. We made the Sunday paper with 5 pages of pictures about our place, and they showed the picture when we opened where we had 800 people standing in line to get in. We only sat 300.
So, are you guys with me? Do you see what making of an entrepreneur, where does it start? It starts with this vision. Now, I could tell you about it, but I don't know anyone else who has lived it in the way that Jack has.
Well, here's something you want to set up. You want to have 10 unique things when you open up that nobody else is doing in your marketplace. And everybody says, God, I can't think of 10 things.
Hold on, stop a second. The advice here, and tweet that. By the way, I'm getting more applause on this blab than I've ever had before. And you know what? You know me and applause, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he knows. So, right. But here's the thing. What you're trying to do is you create 10 unique things for your business that is completely unique in your marketplace.
Yes. And how you do that? You keep meeting. That's why the 6 months was important.
Keep meeting and brainstorming.
Brainstorming, because we came up with all these unique ideas that had never been done before.
All right, hold on, dude. You're telling me that you opened a restaurant, not a unique concept, right? Right in a highly saturated market, and you're trying to tell me that you came up with 10 unique ideas that other restaurants are not doing at all.
One of them was just to hire senior citizens.
Okay, hire senior citizens
to do the work.
Okay, what else?
Well, another one was to build a restaurant where nothing, all the chairs, tables, benches, none of it matches. And then we, for light fixtures, we use tubs. Tubs, like wash tubs.
Like wash tubs, like bathtubs.
Hanging from the ceiling.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Then over the kitchen, we had colanders with the light. The light shines through the holes. Really nice. Then we have open kitchen, people baking pies. Incidentally, we sold 300 slices of pie a day.
All right. What else?
Fresh cut flowers, lots of them.
How much flour? How many flowers did you order?
Well, it was 2% of our whole budget.
2% of your whole budgets were flowers?
Yeah, every week brought in fresh cut flowers. And then we had vines growing and plants in the restaurant. So we had to put in night lights or growing lights at night. We turned on the growing lights so everything would grow. So the place was depressing, but it had lots of flowers and lots of. Why was
it depressing?
It was 1930s decor.
Right. 1930s, it's a soup kitchen. He created, that was the biggest unique thing of all. Well, he created a Depression era. And what was your promo? What was the unique promo to get people to come in the door besides the pre-sale of tickets?
The promo?
The price.
Well, the price was $1.25 for soup and bread, and the dinner was $3.25.
But I mean, for when you first started,
the price of anybody else charged. It was half that.
Yeah. So he started with Depression era pricing to introduce.
We opened with 1930 prices. So dinner was 15 cents and lunch was 10 cents. That was our opening. And
how could you afford? How could you afford that?
We got all the food free.
Why?
Because the suppliers wanted our business. So I said, then give us enough for our opening, and that was free.
Right.
So-
So,
and it was a good time
and
to
this is the guy,
practice.
the same guy who later on, like 30 years later, had other people pay him to build his house. Yes. You see, can we say Tom and Sawyer has nothing on this man because he actually provided value for them. And one more thing, and this is really important: who do you hire as a business owner, as an entrepreneur? How did you make a decision, especially on your staff? Because I find that the hardest. Finding people is the hardest thing ever.
Yeah, it's energy, and it's that feeling between the two. I like to hire people that I wouldn't mind working for.
I'd like to hire people that I wouldn't mind working for.
Because someday I may be working for them.
Someday you may be working for them. Can someone tweet that, please? Can someone tweet that, please? So I want to hire people that I would want to work for, because someday I just might.
In
Right.
my business today, I want to hire somebody that I could leave my house with and go to Europe for a month, and I'd come back and everything would be fine.
All right. So time is running short.
Yeah.
But look, I clap the hand if you are completely enamored with the concept, the restaurant, and of course Jack. Just clap away, right? All right. So what happened? I mean, here's this beautiful restaurant, Breadline, totally unique. There are other things there's plethora of information. What happened?
I sold it after a year to two guys who were going to take it nationwide.
And what was the mistake you made?
To sell the original. First of all, they were going to buy a copy and sell it, or we're going to open up in Canada, and they bought the whole concept. And I should have kept the original.
And so what did they do? Here you have a winning concept, and they want to take it national. Sounds awesome. What did they do?
Of the 10 unique things, they dropped about 4 or 5 of them right away because they thought they could get the profitability up. And that doesn't work. They made some changes. They lost $400,000 their first year in business.
Right. So I just want you to see that nobody's immune from mistakes, and actually mistakes are what makes you work. But you could see the depth of Jack and just what he's done. There's another question. Let's answer this question right here. Isn't this a great system? Are there any pictures of Breadlines online?
Jeez, what's the word?
No, but I happen to have pictures on my OneDrive. Let's have that as an enticement. Sign up if all of you, those of you who want the pictures, I want you to tweet about me and Jack. At Fecker Jack is his Twitter handle. Tweet that out, and with the word Breadline in it. And what we'll do is, for those of you, I will add the pictures of it, because these are amazing little lithographs, literally, that he has. And I invited him to speak at one of my classes at UW that I taught on entrepreneurship. All right. Well, we have 6 more minutes before we have to finish. So if you guys have specific questions for Jack or I on making a successful entrepreneur, if you want to know more about the book, Becoming a Creative Entrepreneur, or if you have other ideas here, if you've been inspired, I answer the question. Yeah, the Breadline story is in there, but would love some questions and ideas. I'm also encouraging my co-presenters to come in if they want to. Because I'm sure you guys are probably having a joyful day.
Virtual hug.
Virtual hug.
Virtual
this
hug.
Is Lori.
Hi.
Virtual hug. So Lori is. She's in love. Yeah, get in line. Get in the Breadline, girl. But yeah,
I'm thinking maybe I'm related to you somehow. I mean, all the things that you're talking about. I love this. I'm a foodie, And I love, love, love everything that you said. I can see that restaurant. I see why it would work. I want to see pictures of it. I really do.
You will.
And I mean, you've just been amazing. We're so thrilled that you had been a part of this event. Well,
yeah,
it's so amazing.
So this is my highlight as
Thank
well.
You.
And so this is Frank Clark. So three of us.
Hey, Leo. Hey, Jack. How are you?
Co-building this.
Yeah,
coming in from New York. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
I'm coming in from New York. Nice to see you. Great job. Outstanding interview, guys. Thanks so much for that.
Yeah. I get to have this guy around. That's one of my secrets. Any questions the two of you have for Jack, or anything else? Any ideas or thoughts that resonated?
So what is the venture that you're working on now that you're most excited about?
Doubling my business. We're really excited, and I made a treasure map about. I made a map about doing $1 million a year, which I thought was impossible. Well, we reached that, and now the new one is $2 million a year. So I'm excited about the people we're hiring and bringing in to accomplish this. I'm also looking for my next assignment. It hasn't come yet.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
Being an entrepreneur, right? You're always looking for the next thing, right?
I'm wondering. Actually, Jack, I'm wondering why it seems to me that it would be really something wonderful if you wrote a book about the breadline.
She's saying her connection is a little poor. She said,
if you
why not breadline again?
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. I don't know if I have the energy to do that.
He's only 82 years young, man.
No, I'll be 84.
Oh, 84, man. I'm sorry, 84.
That's okay. My mom's 84.
So, if I find somebody that wants to do the breadline,
I'm thinking
I would be glad to partner with them or consult with them, because I have the whole concept. I still have it in my home.
Lori?
Well, I think we need to talk, Jack. You coming to Copenhagen?
You want to start it in Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark, because that's where she's at now.
Yeah, I'll go there. I was in Europe not too many months ago. I would do that.
Yeah, I do that just for so you never know where you find your next partner or next inspiration. I want to finish up with this question for you, Jack, and that is for as a young entrepreneur, as someone who's had ideas and who's had both successes and failures. I often get bogged down by where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to do, and comparing myself to my own expectations and others. How do you now, looking back, how do you deal with the stress of being an entrepreneur?
Well, you've got to get into the present moment. You got to be in the now.
So,
but the ideas will come when you're in the now. So I found out I got my best ideas when I go to the ocean, or go for a walk, or while I'm sleeping, or meeting with other people, and then it'll just pop. It just comes into your head. So it's when you're stressed out, you don't get anything. Okay.
Yeah. What is your golf handicap right now?
I don't know.
Come on.
Well, I hit 90 all the time. So, but my new goal is 87. I've hit 88 a couple times. So.
All right. For those of you, mine is like 187. Yeah. If I don't lose the balls. But yeah.
I hit 97, but that's on 9 holes.
Do you see my point,
yeah.
Frank? Okay, so remember about hiring or being surrounded by A players, how there is a common thread here. Surrounding myself with people like Jack has been the greatest thing that I have ever done for myself, bar none. And so if you are to look at your surroundings, the closest people in business or in personal, and you list them out and you find out who they are, and see if they're A players, because sometimes what's needed is an upgrade. And I have personally, that's part of my goal in 2016, is to continually focus on who and not get bogged down by what and how, because ultimately those get solved by themselves, because I don't know what I don't know and other people do.
So I tell people, rather than go to college and get an MBA, which you did, take your 100,000, find somebody you want to do work with or be like that, hire them as a mentor. It may take a couple of years, but I think you'll get more information from that successful person than you will going to school.
Yeah. Well, tell me that now after $160,000 worth of school debt.
Oh, you could save money, just 100,000 to a mentor of somebody's doing what you want to do. They will do that.
So this is where good coaching is critical. This is where you've had coaches in your life or mentors?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've had a lot of them. Some seminars, some people I got to know, and I've also hired. In my first business, I hired a guy who was one of the most successful people in Seattle.
So
I met with him every Friday.
Guys, one of the things that there are many like successful entrepreneurs or business people, in my experience, are made out of there are many makes and colors. They have different backgrounds. They have different things happening for them. They have different businesses, but one thing is the same. All successful people have more successful people around them that they get coached from. Every successful athlete has a successful coach around them. If you say that I don't have money for it, which is my Russian standard is I don't have money for nothing, then you are making the greatest mistake. The greatest investment you can make is in people who are around you, and through that build yourself as an individual. It's my belief personally. Jack, thank you so much. This has been an honor and a privilege. I promise you, I will drag him back on Blab more than once, and maybe he can do a workshop, and you could see the amazing wisdom here.
Right. Well, outstanding job, guys. Great job, Leo, and bringing him on, and great job, Jack. It was a pleasure learning from you and hearing about your life experience. I like what you were saying about, what you're both saying, I guess, about your environment changes everything. So you want to surround yourself with people who are going to help you raise your bar. Just like Mark Profit and Clayton Wood were talking about continuous improvement in your business. You also want to continually improve your network, your social network, your business network, et cetera, because that's going to help lift you up. And then along the way, you're going to help lift others up. So we all rise together.
Yeah. Did you mention The Profit? That's my favorite show.
Oh, that's Mark.
No. He talked. Mark Profit was one of his guests.
Mark Profit was Lori's guest this morning, and Clayton Wood was Leo's other guest this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a good name to have, right? Profit.
Yeah, but watch Marcus on The Profit on CNBC. He's great, and you get
see it every week.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. I love him. I think it's better than Shark Tank.
Yeah, so I know that we're closely approaching out of time. Frank, are you next?
Yes, so I'm up next with David Drake, an expert on crowdfunding. So this is the Show Me the Money part of our program today. So how do you get the money to fund and build your dream? David Drake is going to walk us through that. He's an expert. He does 200 educational conferences a year on crowdfunding, venture funding, private equity, etc. He's also a successful real estate developer, building a high-rise tower in Miami, and has multiple businesses. So he's a very successful entrepreneur in his own right as well.
So wealth of information, guys. Before we go to the next room, and I'm sure either Zeph or Jonathan are going to come in and try to show people how to get to the next room. Go into our website and register, startupconlive.com, and register if